Hmm. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Anita's Joint. Hashtag Extendajoint, where every day is payday, baby. You tuned in to another one. We got USA versus Brazil recap here. Brazil's. Brazil's. Man, don't get me started. I don't even know what to say. Hold on. USWET. Perfect. All right, let me get right into it. Won't be here this long because I already said what I wanted to say. I already said what I wanted to say. I already said really what I wanted to say, mainly in the game, but I wanted to actually see what people had to say. Mm. No, not that many people. Not that many people talking. All right, but people came for her run in the chat though. Yeah. Let me go to the hashtag. Oh yeah, there's me. Make sure y'all fuck with me. Anyways. Nah. USA, I think we found our goalkeeper number one. Nah, 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 nah. No, 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 no. No. I mean, Joyce was good, but did Brazil attack? She had like one save. Maybe one save. Like one save. Uh, it says I just commented on IG that Spain hasn't been good enough, hasn't been good since the World Cup, and that anyone has the capability of beating them right now. And I got called delusional U.S. supporter. Okay, bro. Not like I don't have eyes or something. Uh, all right, so this is what they gave some rating. All right, hey, look, we got Joyce 8, Sonnet 6, Tarot 6, Dunn 7, Fox 6, Heap 6. Hold on, the disrespect to Thompson with the 6 is disrespectful. Coffee with a 4, Macario with the 7, Satnor with the 6, Giannis with a 9. The rest of the subs, no impact. Emma's 10. She is coaching for the big picture, developing the depth, her vision, her systems. She's a great coach. Okay, they a fan, they a fan, they a fan. Crystal Dunn proving why she's still one of the best outside backs in the world is crazy, bro. Like, like, like we ain't. Now, shout out to Crystal Dunn though. I think the move to the move to PSG, I think helped. Yeah, yeah. But shout out to my girl Avery. It says Giannis, Coffee, Gurma down the middle of the field. I like that moving forward. Uh, I don't know, man. Look, I'm just saying. Look, everyone's talking about Joyce, but look, Jane is the clear number one. I'm just saying. I'm gonna be real. I know y'all want her, but Emma. It says great game for Joyce, Thompson, Kat, Trent, and Lily. Think so too. I don't think this was. Yeah, I don't know. Joyce got a lot of fans. Joyce, you got a lot of fans, huh? And she does. Let me get to the game then. Fuck it. We had to skip all that shit. I mean, the first goal happened so fast. Work. Huh? Let me see. Let me just make sure I saw that correctly. Who did they give you an option to vote for? So Trinity got player of the match. I'm okay giving it to Rodman. She did score the first goal. But who are the other options? Just keep scrolling down. Look. So these were your options. Woman of the match. You either could have picked the goalkeeper, Heaps, or Rodman. And most people chose Rodman. No Alyssa Thompson to choose from. Look, not having Alyssa Thompson as an option should be a crime. Alyssa Thompson had an assist and like 4 shots on goal, LOL. It's Alyssa Thompson and any other options are wrong. Dunn still being underrated is annoying. She has such a great game. So did Macario. Haran does absolute nothing except stat pad penalties. So washed, it's laughable she plays. It says, yeah, and like, I mean, Jane had lots of saves too. Like, I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna be for Joyce when Jane is an option. That you ain't gonna get that from me. I mean, so I'm not Team Joyce. It is what it is. It is what it is. You're not getting any favor from me. But yeah, at least these people know that Alyssa Thompson was one of the players that we should have had an option to choose from, and blatantly. She's not an option for us to choose because they don't want her to be. Like, did they not watch the game either? Like, I don't understand how y'all can't even properly select the players that had an influential game. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But as we continue to see, just ludicrousness. I don't even remember. I don't even remember what else happened in this game, to be honest. It wasn't even like Thompson literally dropped her on her bar here. Who is this number 20? Is this? She had her right. She's on the ground. Right here, this girl that's right in front of Thompson. You can't be scared of Thompson. You got to step towards her. Because you got 2 of your defenders right here. You're the next person up. If that person had stepped, Rodman, maybe her pathway wouldn't have been as open, but she kept backing up. Rodman's finish was quite easy because the pass was so nice and she made a great run, you know? The finish, it was well deserved. When you have players that have something to prove and know that this is an opportunity to make my mark, to impress, than players that don't. And that's the thing that a lot of the Americans have gotten too comfortable with, is that you think that you have nothing else to prove because you're a mainstay. And this is where we need to shift things. No. You need to continue to earn yourself this call up. And that's one thing I don't like. I don't like players that are just a shoe-in just because, what, are they contracted? No one should be technically contracted for America. In a way, but then again, it's like the women's game and the men's game is different because the women want security. But I'm just like, y'all can't abuse that system either. You still have to perform. And like I said, we having such a big talent pool, it is going to get harder to prove that you're more valuable than some of these younger players. And that's where things are going to start to get tricky. And that's when we're going to see players that are not as good get called up, because if they call up another player better, that's going to expose other things. And I don't want that to happen, But if this continues to happen, this is what we're going to see in reality, and that's awful. That's not going to help America grow. And then, like I said, that's not going to help anybody if Michele Kang wants to invest 55 million and we're still kind of tweaking with who we want to call up or not. That doesn't help anybody's game. So peep game. It's not our fault. We have to decode this shit. It's not my fault. I have to know. It's not my fault that I think this way based upon my observations. Yeah, man. Ain't nothing else happening in this hoe. Ain't nothing else happened. I mean, this game was weak. Only until Thompson was one of the best things about this game. Yeah, Thompson was like I said, like even if y'all didn't vote for Rodman, I mean Joyce was definitely another option. She had a good game, but what did Brazil do? Hold on. Brazil. This is the stats they giving y'all, Brazil. 15 shots, 6 on target. Did we really get 15 shots from Brazil? And if it was from Brazil, it wasn't from Caroline. It wasn't from their heavy hitters. It wasn't from Lido Mill. It was from their younger players. And their younger players are not our Thompsons and Lily Johannes just yet. They have potential. They got potential. But we got Thompson carrying Angel City. Lily Johannes, of course, she plays for Ajax. Cooper in Kansas. Like, some of these ladies, some of our younger ladies are carrying teams, are one of the main influential factors. We don't know too much of if that's for Brazil. And the players that we know that are influential, even Jennifer's not even that influential when it comes to pickups because she doesn't really start as much right now, but she does score goals. But Priscilla was as well. Caroline, she just transferred over to Man City. She's already scored goals for City. But we didn't get to see these players start for Brazil. And imagine if Caroline or Lido Mill, even Lido Mill, like I said, she didn't get any opportunities. Like I don't think she took any shots. That's crazy. It was mainly Gio and Gabby. And they ain't find the back of the net. So Arthur, next match, you already know who to start. This game, a lot of these games are not just impressing me. Maybe because I want to see the younger group. I want to see the younger players have opportunities to quote unquote make mistakes against a team like Brazil that may play. Brazil played a youthful team, I would say. They didn't play their heaviest hitters, but America played some of the older players. Like Crystal Dunn is crazy. The fact that Crystal Dunn is still starting in 2025 for America is wild work. Wild work. But she deserves it over some of the other players that are younger than her. But you know what I'm saying? We gonna continue to let me check out Mexico. I didn't want to be here too long because this game was alright, but this game was yeah. Let me go to Mexico right quick. Let me go to Mexico. Mexico won. Yeah, baby. Of course, when it came to Mexico, they didn't have to face Bunny Shaw. Oh, shout out to you, Tim Flash. They didn't have to deal with Bunny, of course. So, but the lineup for Mexico is fire. It's fire. We got Birkin Road up top, Jackie, Scarlett, Nieto, Delgado, Soto, Hernandez, both Burnells, Kay Burnell, and Rebecca Burnell, and Luna, and then Stephanie, and they put 3 goals up in the first half against Jamaica, and it was all it's needed. So I'm happy for Mexico. I think they're supposed to beat Jamaica with no bunny. I didn't know they were on 3-0 them, but yeah, shout out to Mexico getting the job done. Happy for the ladies. Who scored again? Delgado, Kay Burnell. I mean, not Kay Burnell. Delgado, Birkenroad, and Rebecca. So we got Washington Kang Spirit, we got Tigres, and Monterrey all on the scoreboard. I don't know if Kiki came into the game. Let's see. Nah, she didn't get no time. But they said Annika, Naira, Yasmin, Natalia, Nicole. I forgot. Someone actually told me how to pronounce her name, but I forgot. But America play next Tuesday. I mean, this coming Tuesday, right? I do hope that we get a better match. Yeah, I just hope we get a little better match for America and a different lineup. Let's see Claire Hutton. Let's see Sam's. Let's see, of course. Yeah, let's see Ashley Hatch get a start up top with maybe Ashley Hatch with Cooper and fuck it, I'm playing Thompson again. Or even yeah. I would say Ashley Hatch, Cooper, Thompson up top, right? Fuck it. In the midfield, give me Lily Johannes, give me Claire Hutton, and Jaden Shaw. And then the back line, we're gonna have Emily Fox. Give me Emily Sams. We don't really have too many center backs, so either it's gonna be Sonnet or Tara, and I guess I'll take Tara. I'll take Tara, and then we're gonna take Giselle Thompson. Okay, so or it depends. Like you can play Crystal Dunn and Giselle Thompson, or either you're gonna play Giselle Thompson over Fox. Whatever that works. I don't mind. We just need to see Giselle Thompson. So we need to see a different America team. Because I mean, what's the point of giving these young players call ups and then we're not seeing them play? And this could be I mean, Ashley Hatch in the next World Cup starting for America with Cooper and Thompson is not like gonna like realistic technically because the World Cup is in 2020 2031. We're in 2025. That's 6 years. Is Ashley Hatch gonna be performing still for America? I don't think so. But we know Thompson's gonna be around. Cooper's gonna be around. These players. So just imagine they got 6 years prior where you're gonna play, and this is just an international break. So it doesn't hurt anybody for Emma to experiment, right? But when I get matches where we have the old heads play, and then they didn't really give us a good match, and it was all the young players that actually were the most fun to watch. Setnor didn't have a good game. She wasn't really influential though. But yeah, we only had a couple players that performed well in this matchup based upon the lineup and then based upon how Brazil played. Brazil were quite physical. You see all those yellow cards? They put their hands on America. They put their hands on America. Same with America. They was grabbing. They wasn't they wasn't playing around either. But there's a lot of things about the game that we'll continue to observe and uncover. Remember, you have eyes for yourself to be able to see how players influence the teams, but also if the opposition doesn't even have players that can be influential, what are we seeing on the other end? It's like now we need the organic competition to help everyone grow. That is the only way things are going to be able to get better for everyone. If if they continue to stunt it, it only hurts them. America's going to continue to thrive because we're the ones that got the 55 million invested into women's football. That is supposed to eventually trickle down to other other national teams. It's supposed to somehow Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can go find fuck it. Let me see if I can go find Michele Kang real quick. Michele Kang. Let's see. Let's see if we can go find her. Let me see. Cause I don't know if she was on. I don't know if they. I'm pretty sure that they would have. Cause look, y'all, look. Right here. This is the video, right, on YouTube. I haven't actually looked on their website. But it's a 5-hour live stream. But let me see where it starts at off. Is Billie Jean in here? Nah. So they start off with Michele Kang for y'all. But in the beginning, Billie King was talking with Julie Fowley and everything, right? So let's get to Michele Kang type shit. Let's see. Okay, she had a pretty good segment. Okay, yeah. So we'll listen to what Michele had to say here. She didn't talk too long. I bet. All right, wait, let's listen. Hold on.
Now, JT of the U.S. Soccer Federation is a seasoned media technology executive, substantial civic and business leadership. Previously, as a member of the U.S. Soccer Finance Committee, he led the creation of the U.S. Soccer Development Fund. That fund raises money to support U.S. Soccer's development of world-class players, not just players, but coaches and referees. Prior to leading the U.S. Soccer Federation, his background was the CEO of Hudson Mix, an advertising software company based in New York and Atlanta. He co-founded that back in 2016 after serving as entrepreneur in residence for two of Silicon Valley's top-tier capital firms, Greylock Partners and Excel Partners. All the big news you hear coming out of soccer, that they've signed Emma Hayes, that they've signed Mauricio Pochettino. JT Batson has such a heavy hand in making this happen as U.S. soccer is elevated worldwide. So please welcome to the stage, JT Batson.
Hello, hello.
Hello. You're there. And then Michele Kang, I'm so excited to have her with us here today. She is a trailblazing businesswoman and an investor dedicated to women's sports across the globe. As the first woman of color to own a national women's soccer league team, the Washington Spirit, also Olympic Lyonnais, the London City Lionesses, she continues to set standards across the industry. In 2024, she launched Kaniska, the first multi-team global organization focused on professionalizing women's football, demonstrating its long-term commercial viability and cultural impact. Since launching that, she's made multiple impactful investments and donations, and perhaps the most impactful, U.S. Soccer can certainly attest to this. In November, she donated $30 million in women's soccer here in this country. The impact is monumental. It is felt daily on the broadcasting side. People we talk to on a daily basis when we're out here covering games talk about how much that changes the game for not only women here, but women everywhere. She has been recognized as a power player in women's sports by the Sports Business Journal, one of the 50.
I'm sorry, bro, but why does it look like she reading from like something down there below? Like, you know, like I feel like this shit should be all raw. Like, you can have some questions. Like, that's my thing. It's like, when I would introduce Michele Kang, I'll be like, hey, look, Michele Kang, she on 3. Like, I don't know Michele Kang, but it's like they reading from a prompt. She reading from a prompt. I'm just saying.
Most influential figures in sports by Sports Illustrated. Please welcome to the stage, Michele Kang. Look. Okay, so as we talk about the investment, and I know I sort of just gave you guys lengthy introductions, just tell us, for folks that are sitting here and they wonder how you got started, how you got involved, everyone's path is different. Just tell me about how you got on your path to your current roles, JT.
So I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, playing soccer. Soccer was certainly my life. Played, coached, refereed, and went to college at a time when you graduated from college, there weren't a lot of career opportunities in soccer. Certainly if you weren't good enough to be a player or you didn't want to have a career as a coach, and I definitely wasn't good enough to be a professional player and decided that the coaching wasn't the path for me. And so I was in school in Silicon Valley, so ended up working in technology, but was always trying to figure my way back into soccer because soccer was absolutely my passion. And what was really cool is on Tuesday in Atlanta, we sort of announced the opening of an upgraded youth soccer park there. And the president of that youth soccer club was the guy who got me started in software engineering in like 1998 when I first wrote my
So you already had a connect. You already had a connect. Is that what you're saying? It just lined up that way? Tell me again. Because look, there was a lot of things that happened in this video. There were a lot of things that we were told. Let's run it back real quick. Hold on. I don't think I heard him correctly.
first piece of software and it was for me. Definitely wasn't good enough to be a professional player and decided that the coaching wasn't the path for me. And so I was in school in Silicon Valley, so ended up working in technology, but was always trying to figure my way back into soccer because soccer was absolutely my passion. And what was really cool is on Tuesday in Atlanta, we sort of announced the opening of an upgraded youth soccer park there. And the president of that youth soccer club was the guy who got me started in software engineering in like 1998 when I first wrote my first piece of software. So it was an incredible moment to sort of bring that full circle because other than my parents, there's no one who had more influence on me than Brian. And so, sorry for, it hit me as that's why we're here at US Soccer. We know that soccer is a force for good. We know that there's such an opportunity to do such powerful things with the sport. And so it's so awesome to kind of come full circle and to be there in Atlanta and do that, and obviously to be with you.
I'm sorry, but Michele Kang looking at her. She over here looking here. She like, is this nigga done? Nigga, we ain't worried about you. We want to hear from Michele Kang. He long-winded. I'm sorry, bro. We not interested in hearing about who the fuck you are. We interested in Michele Kang. I mean, maybe you're interested in what he had to say. I don't know. But I'm glad that he told us that he had to connect. The same person that got him into this job that he didn't desire is the same person who was the president of a football facility, nigga. Like, how does that work out? It's just a coincidence. It's a mere coincidence. I know shit be happening. But now okay, let's continue.
Here to share all this. So.
And it's so cool to see how much that means to you. And I think full circle moments for everyone, right, are the most impactful. Tell us about your path.
Well, unlike JT, soccer was not in my life, and I didn't know anything about it until 2020, I guess effectively 2020. And then with the controlling owner starting 2022, I think, you can say it was by accident, but now I feel like it was fate. Destiny. So here I am. Initially started out as a minority investor, but I saw the huge potential, the gap between where it was versus where it could be. I was just so shocked that no one was really seeing it and
Yeah, and I think that's cool. She's an outsider, right? She's an outsider. She done pulled up wherever Michele Kang was in 2020, fam. 2020. She came to the realm of women's football. I was introduced to women's football maybe around like during the Rona times is when I really got more invested. So I guess I was kind of around Michele Kang time because I did a whole ritual. I did a whole video on Michele Kang throwing 35 million at Washington Spirit. It was super ritualistic, the numbers. But anyways, besides that, she came in 2020 and it changed the game. 55 million, 5 years. Did y'all 50?
Going into investing in it, if this were sort of a Silicon Valley idea, it would have been like take your number type of thing. So just like what I did in my non-sports career, when you see it, kind of the opportunity, when everyone thinks I'm crazy, I've done that in my other career as well. You just go jump in.
So following up on that, when you said people could look at that and think you're crazy, what was it about the opportunity to become an owner that when you said other people might look and think that's crazy, what was it about that opportunity that in your mind you were like, this is the right thing for me?
Yeah, I think it was a lot about the product itself, right? It was an incredible product. We have one of the really incredible athletes, and the product was really unbelievable. Probably not at the fullest potential that it could achieve, but even, I mean, it was really good enough. And if you compare that to other sports products or other entertainment products, I just thought that it was a hugely under-leveraged, underappreciated asset, and it really has something to do with the product, the athleticism, and the players we have, the coaching staff, but with the investment, proper investment, and not only on the soccer, on the pitch, but off the pitch in terms of fan development and so forth, I didn't really see any difference between this versus ultimately, not that I'm comparing our sports with men's product, but NFL, Premier League, I just really did not see that much difference. Quite frankly, I thought it could be even better. Different, but better.
JT, yeah, go ahead, yeah. I don't want to interrupt that. U.S. Soccer is making a significant investment in the women's game. Michele specifically has made such an investment in the women's game. Tell us about what the Federation is doing.
Well, as y'all heard from Billie Jean King this morning, focusing on the business of the sport is so important. And when we met for the first time this summer at the Olympics, we had a lovely breakfast that was supposed to be 45 minutes long, I think like 3 hours long. I have a 2.5-year-old, so I still didn't have enough coffee, even though we drank coffee nonstop. And what really got me so excited was Michele was focused on the business of the sport. And not just the commercial side of the business, but all parts of the business. Do we have the right and enough referees? What's the pathway look like for coaches? What does it look like for sporting directors? High performance. All of the ingredients that ultimately lead to a successful market. And so part of what we've been excited about at U.S. Soccer is investing in the entire soccer ecosystem in a way that grows our sport. Of course, we want our national teams to win. We want our pro clubs to win on the world stage. We also want soccer to be everywhere. We want everyone in the country to be able to experience the joy of soccer. And to do that, we have to maximize the investment in our sport. We need government money into the sport. We need commercial money. We need capital. We need sponsors. We need media partners. We need philanthropy. We need all these things to be able to grow our sport in a way that achieves what Michele was talking about in terms of being one of the great products in the world.
Something you said that's so important, and I was at an event recently and someone brought it up. They used the word ecosystem, and they were talking about brand deals for athletes, and you sort of a little bit alluded to this here because it's not just about the senior national team. And we see, I'll give you like a small example of this. We see Emma Hayes now calling in the U23s now every time she calls in the national team because it's about growing the broader spectrum, but it isn't.
And here's my thing, was U.S. Soccer not able to do this before Emma? Or now that they have Emma and they had got the money from Michele Kang, this is how it all happened. Them being able to pull the U23 with the full national team. That's I'm guessing it happened pretty much after Michele Kang donated all that money. Because that's what Billie Jean was like, it's always about the money. And Michele Kang came out of nowhere with the money. She was like, hold on, this product needs some currency. Splash, 30 million, 5 years. I'll give y'all 30 million in 5 years. I already got 3 football. You know what I'm saying? So all that, and Michele Kang was the first one to actually invest in the product. 30 milli. Yeah, she bought a team for 35. Then she was like, U.S. Soccer, I gave you another 30. And then this guy, he's gonna get 25 million. So it was like Michele Kang just came out of nowhere with the currency and throwing money at America. And she wants results because she has a freaking end of a cell team. So she gonna get back. Real talk.
Always just about the athletes. To your point, when you say ecosystem, you have to grow the coaches, you have to grow the referees. So there is always such a broader picture, and I think so much of us, and rightfully so, right? The attention is always on the athletes and the stars on the field, but there is such a broader system that also needs to be invested in to allow things to grow, and that's a really important part of what's being done. Michele, you established one of the first all-female.
And, you know, I mainly focus on the player aspect, meaning because this is the product, as Michele Kang says. I want to know what type of talent we got out here, right? Who am I tuning into? And we all know that they need investment. But I focus on, okay, who in essence are you going to give opportunity to with the investment that you're giving? And if you're wasting your money on talentless players, you're gonna get a bad quality product, right? Michele Kang wants an investment back on her money. All right, let's go.
Soccer ownership groups. That is a model that is now being go ahead. That's being replicated across the sport. Tell us about the journey of Kaniska. And I talked about it a little bit in the beginning when I brought you up on stage, but explain to folks how that came about and what Kaniska is doing.
Yeah, so when I first took over Washington Spirit, I really tried to understand how do we make this product really better, and that required a lot of investment. It's not any different than whether it's a software company or manufacturing company. There are a lot of things that we needed to invest, like how do we train, the nutrition, the coaching development, referee development, all that. So, but then when I started looking at what's the magnitude of investment you need to make this like really prime time, Main Street product, as now a lot of people say, and I've been saying this from day one, that women's sports, especially women's football, soccer, is not a charity product, right? So money doesn't grow on trees, and all this, a lot of equitable pay and everything else is going to happen and close the gap if we are successful on the business side as well. So the level of investment that I saw was huge. I'm crazy enough to invest in one team, but the level that I thought was required was not something that anyone can really justify on top of all the losses that you're incurring by running a team. And I didn't want to just do for the sake of doing it and in a sub-scale level and say, oh, we're investing in it, but after that investment, you're going to have really nothing to show for. So if you want to do it at scale, like training women as women or female as female, it requires some significant resources and personnel to get it right. And the way to do it is to have multiple teams and centralize some of those resources and do it once. There's no reason for every team to do this, right? Whether it's I own it or somebody else owns it, this has to be done. And if you can actually pull the resources together and centralize, you can do it once at scale and make it available, not just among my teams, but anyone else and any other teams and in any other sport. So there are multiple categories like that. The training female as female, even you think about global scouting capabilities, not every team needs to have it. There are just games and there are players. So there are some centralized functions that you can do to build the economies of scale and scope. And that was the one way to build a scale. The other thing is I'm in a hurry, right? I want to build this product quickly. So it's an acceleration. So I don't want the soccer is the most popular game in the world, right? Some 6 billion people either watch or play or consume this product. And I don't want young girls all around the world, Africa, Asia, Latin America, grow up thinking all this training women as women, beautiful training centers or the stadium, dedicated stadium, are sort of like American, French, English thing. It's not happening in our backyard. But I wanted to buy teams all around the world and give exactly the same thing everywhere so that it's in their backyard. So you have no other excuse but to put yourself 100% if you want to play soccer, so that it's an acceleration of the product, of the game. And that also helps to bring fans, and that brings also the commercial sponsorship, because it's a global product now. It's not just local product. So it's really, I mean, two words would be scale and acceleration, but it is to get there quickly at scale.
I don't understand the lingo talk. It's very. So she was like, she didn't want to have, it's only America, England, and France, but those are the only teams she has teams in. America, England, and France. And she said that the investment needed for this product had to be, pretty big, like, and she wanted to accelerate it. So this was the pathway that she was going to be able to accelerate what she was trying to do. And my part is we're gonna have to listen to it again and kind of break it down and digest it, what she's doing. But she does have hands in 3 leagues. So ultimately she does want to help each league. When she's getting players from Mexico, she's getting players from Brazil. But I gotta replay it because she said so much, and some of the language I'm not familiar with, based upon she's a businesswoman,
About it a little bit in the beginning when I brought you up on stage, but explain to folks how that came about and what Kaniska is doing.
Yeah, so when I first took over Washington Spirit, I really tried to understand how do we make this product really better, and that required a lot of investment. It's not any different than whether it's a software company or manufacturing company. There are a lot of things that we needed to invest, like how do we train, the nutrition, the coaching development, referee development, all that. So, but then when I started looking at what's the magnitude of investment you need to make this like really prime time, Main Street product, as now a lot of people say, and I've been saying this from day one, that women's sports, especially women's football, soccer, is not a charity product, right? So money doesn't grow on trees, and all this, a lot of equitable pay and everything else is going to happen and close the gap if we are successful on the business side as well. So the level of investment that I saw was huge. I'm crazy enough to invest in one team, but the level that I thought was required was not something that anyone can really justify on top of all the losses that you're incurring by running a team. And I didn't want to just do for the sake of doing it and in a sub-scale level and say, oh, we're investing in it, but after that investment, you're going to have really nothing to show for. So if you want to do it at scale, like training women as women or female as female, it requires some significant resources and personnel to get it right. And the way to do it is to have multiple teams and centralize some of those resources. And
so she had to get 3 teams, and she cut off some of the resources in other geographical locations, because I know she had to get rid of some of Leon's stuff. And in essence, because Leon is so dominant, they can technically afford to do that. Maybe we'll see if that affects Leon down the line. We don't know. But to centralize resources, meaning to be able to control 3 teams and 3 pool, 3. So centralized resources, meaning the players. The players are the resources, in my opinion. If you don't got the players, you don't got shit. But of course, you got the money, Michelle. They ain't tripping. So So she had to get 3 teams to centralize the resources. Pretty much, kind of, it's Monopoly. She playing Monopoly out here, bro. I don't.
Do it once. There's no reason for every team to do this, right? Whether it's I own it or somebody else owns it. This has to be done. And if you can actually pull the resources together and centralize, you can do it once at scale and make it available, not just among my teams, but anyone else and any other teams and in any other sport. So there are multiple categories like that. The training female as female, even you think about global scouting capabilities, not every team needs to have it. There are just games and there are players. So there are some centralized functions that you can do to build the economies of scale and scope. And that was the one way to build a scale. The other thing is I'm in a hurry, right? I want to build this product quickly. So it's an acceleration. So I don't want the football, soccer is the most popular game in the world, right? Some 6 billion people either watch or play or consume this product. And I don't want young girls all around the world, Africa, Asia, Latin America, grow up thinking all this training women as women, beautiful training centers, or the stadium, dedicated stadium, are sort of like American, French, English thing. It's not happening in our backyard. But I wanted to buy teams all around the world and give exactly the same.
Like I said, she only got 3 teams in those geographical locations: France, England, America. So unless does she have other teams that I'm unaware of? Does Michele Kang own an African team? Does Michele Kang own an Asian team? And then she says that she doesn't have to be. She says that it only needs to be done one time to centralize the resources in 3 teams and scale it. And it only needs to be done one time for it to have a ripple effect. So it is, because not only did Michele Kang get Burnell to move, of course she got Tarsi. She's gonna help London City Lionesses rise up. So in a way, she's able to hit the realm 3 times more than other clubs, in a way, if that makes sense. She's able to impact the realm of women's football 3 times compared to everyone else because she has multiple teams.
Same thing everywhere so that it's in their backyard. So you have no other excuse but to put yourself 100% if you want to play soccer, so that it's an acceleration of the product, of the game. And that also helps to bring fans, and that brings also the commercial sponsorship because it's a global product now. It's not just local product. So it's really, 2 words would be scale and acceleration, but it is to get there quickly at scale.
We know that you own these teams, but then there is the philanthropy part of it as well. And I mentioned the massive donation to U.S. soccer. And it's not just U.S. soccer, but U.S. rugby as well. What prompted those actions when you're already so invested in doing so many things? Tell us what was behind that.
Yeah, so in terms of U.S. rugby, it was just literally the most expensive game I attended. I went to a game during the Olympic in Paris, and I really had no idea what I was walking into. And it was like, 70,000 person stadium, and it was sold out. And it was unbelievable. It was a Rugby 7, I think. And I was just really impressed, and I sat next to, I think, U.S. Rugby Association, and they were telling me about the state that the female rugby teams are in the U.S. And the story was very similar to where U.S. soccer, the soccer situation was several years ago. And I thought that if I can just do a little bit to catalyze and to give little kick and get them to win the 2028 Olympic gold medal, because they won the bronze. And I said, the condition is that when you win the gold medal, I want one too. That's the only way I can get any close to. But in terms of U.S. soccer, I think the point is not only about training, but you can't advance this product. It's not just I can go make something in my garage or a factory and then say, here is the best product. The game of football and soccer requires so many different elements, right? It's not just my team or every team's players. Until we can hire this player, there's whole youth club development. I think Europe is probably better than what U.S. has had in the past, and we have to fix that. There are referees to make sure that the product is exciting and all that. So there are just so many different elements that I can't do by myself or team owners can't do. There are different organizations that need to do. And I think that's really the best, the U.S. Soccer is the best organization, place to take all those initiatives. And what better way to advance the women's football with a U.S. Soccer investing in all those elements in the ecosystem, because it's not just I have a team now, I have the best player. Well, that can lead probably for 3-4 years. And if they don't have a flow of players, if the refereeing is not done right, all that, we're gonna fall apart. So this is to ensure that not only we get there quickly at scale, but it's gonna sustain.
It's really cool to see, too, when someone makes a donation to the
Michele Kang dropping game. Like, I want to know, like, if is another person gonna invest as much. So she not only she got the football clubs, she invested in the 7v7 rugby. I don't watch rugby, personally. It's like tackle football without without guards and stuff. Y'all crazy. I would never. We gotta replay it, Michele Kang, because I'm trying to understand what you doing again, Michele Kang?
those actions when you're already so invested in doing so many things. Tell us what was behind that.
Yeah, so in terms of U.S. rugby, it was just literally the most expensive game I attended. I went to a game during the Olympic in Paris, and I really had no idea what I was walking into. And it was like, 70,000 person stadium, and it was sold out. And it was unbelievable. It was a rugby 7, I think. And I was just really impressed, and I sat next to, I think, U.S. Rugby Association, and they were telling me about the state that the female rugby teams are in the U.S. And the story was very similar to where U.S. soccer, the soccer situation was several years ago. And I thought that if I can just do a little bit to catalyze and to give little kick and get them to win the 2028 Olympic gold medal, because they won the bronze. And I said, the condition is that when you win the gold medal, I want one too. That's the only way I can get any close to. But in terms of U.S. soccer, I think the point is not only about training, but you can't advance this product. It's not just I can go make something in my garage or a factory and then say, here is the best product. The game of football and soccer requires so many different elements, right? It's not just my team or every team's players. Until we can hire this player, there's whole youth club development. I think Europe is probably better.
Right. So this is where she goes in, like she says. Now it makes sense because USA was technically the only geographical location where they could tackle so many needed things, like having a proper youth system. Because she's saying America don't really got proper youth system, like where we grow our players. Where some of the other countries where you got players that been playing for their club for all their life, right? All their life since 3, 4. You're a Barcelona player since you've been 3, 4. Arsenal player since you've been, so we have academy players that they've only played for Man City. I've only played for Barca. I don't know no other team because they've been in the youth for that long. We don't have that in America, but that's pretty much what she's saying, right? And and that America was the best place to invest in because they can tackle so many things at one time and are willing to than other geographical locations. And also already kind of have. Okay, keep going, Michelle.
Better than what U.S. has had in the past, and we have to fix that. There are referees to make sure that the product is exciting and all that. So there are just so many different elements that I can't do by myself or team owners can't do. There are different organizations that need to do. And I think that's really the best, the U.S. Soccer is the best organization place to take all those initiatives. And what better way to advance the women's football with a U.S. Soccer investing in all those elements in the ecosystem.
Right. So, like I said, what better investment to use America to invest in all those things that they need to take care of at one time? Then they go to different countries and have to like work through each one time. They can just do it all together at one time. Because of course America wants to be, well, first of all, America's number one. They want to continue to be number one. And Michele Kang right here. Y'all need some money? She just came through 2020. Like, where was Michele Kang? Like, I said, thank goodness for Michele Kang. But it's like, where did she come from? And she just came out of nowhere. Was like, here, I want to invest in women's football, and I'm finna show everyone how it's done.
Because it's not just I have a team now, I have the best player. Well, that can lead probably for 3-4 years. And if they don't have a flow of players, if the refereeing is not done right.
Right, and these are the points that they're working on: getting better referees, getting a better pipeline, a system, because there's no draft. So, in essence, Houston can have a Houston Dash Academy, and we can be scouting young players in our local communities, and get them into the youth team, and they'll learn Houston's philosophies and principles of how to be a baller during Houston and go rise up through the ranks, right? Refereeing, we all know the players are only going to get better quicker. The referees have to be just as intelligent as some of these players. Just as intelligent. But in the game of refereeing, making sure they understand what's going on the field, reading the energy, observing the game. We need better referee, everything, better coaching. Because now there's more, all right, keep going, Michelle.
All that we're gonna fall apart. So this is to ensure that not only we get there quickly at scale, but it's gonna sustain.
It's really cool to see too, when someone makes a donation to the extent that Michele has, when you actually tangibly can see that impact. And I was sharing this with JT earlier this morning, that I was sitting down with Emma Hayes, who you'll hear from later in the day, and we were just talking about the broader picture of the U.S. women's soccer team, and just not the national team. But she was like, yeah, look, we're in the market to hire a coach for she like had a laundry list of coaching positions that they were going to hire that might not have been on the radar before. And as we were sitting there, and Julie Foudy was one of the folks that was sitting there with us, we were like, wow, is this a direct correlation to the impact of what Michele has given them? And it truly is. So this is not just put some money out there. I mean, they are tangibly doing stuff, and that effect is not just helping people at the highest level, but levels beneath that. And JT, I know you can speak to this obviously far better than I can, just what that donation that Michele gave U.S. Soccer in November, what that has meant for you guys and what you're able to do.
I think that's a great sort of tee up for that, because U.S. Soccer has never been in a position financially to have youth national teams, U15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23. Never had that before. And we also have never been in a position, even with a subset of those teams, to fully.
And even especially because you said all that, especially because the men are not good. So the investment in the women's game was not even thought of because they're trying to make sure they have a successful U17, all those numbers he said, but they were trying to make sure the men could do that first. I bet you. So when they found out, shit, our USA boys ain't shit, I'm not saying they ain't shit, but there wasn't really that much incentive to see if the women could do that or have the women be able to go through the same thing they were trying to do with the men. So that's what I got from that. When they say they weren't financially in a position, one, the men weren't good enough because those were definitely the first people that y'all tried to attempt to do that with. And then now Michele Kang's like, I got money, but I'm investing in U.S. soccer. And the women, we're 2020 now. It makes sense why U.S. soccer didn't have that. They probably didn't have the money, and also they didn't have the talent when it came to the men's football. It had that. I mean, I just think that's because soccer in America is not the only sport.
Program them across all of the FIFA windows. We now do. And the reason why that's so important is there are a lot of great players in this country, and people develop at different ages and stages, and we need to massively expand the funnel and so that more and more players have an opportunity to be identified, to be developed, to play against the best in the world, and ultimately, hopefully, win World Cups, win gold medals, like some folks who were here earlier today. And so incredible opportunities from a player pathway. But it's not just the player pathways, it's also the infrastructure, so the digital infrastructure. What are the tools we have to be able to scale our talent identification and development? And then how are we investing in the next generation of coaches? And in an area as a current referee, which I appreciate, also the referees. And how many of you watch some of our youth national team games on television? Anybody? Anybody? I encourage you to do it. There's some incredible young players. And one of the things that really hit me early on when I joined, Kate Margraf, who was our general manager of our women's national team, she was like, "You're a referee, right?" I said, "Yeah." It's like, "Watch the referees in our youth national team games. They hold us back." And I thought, huh? And you'd watch the games, and a lot of the referees had not had the opportunity to referee at the level of our players and where our players were looking to play. And you could see the games were different when you had referees who were well-trained and well-developed, and the games that weren't. And so, to Michele's point, there's so much that makes a great product. There's so many components on and off the field, and making sure at U.S. Soccer that we're being very intentional around how do we support all aspects of the game so that we can scale our impact and accelerate it. And I think we're starting to see the results of that right away. There's some very tangible things. So, for those of you who followed our men's national team for a long time, you've probably heard a lot about dual and multinationals, players who have the opportunity to play for a lot of different clubs. Well, that trend's now on the women's side too. And a large percentage of our youth national team eligible players also are eligible for other countries. Well, what better way for you to feel connected to the U.S. program than to train with the U23s or U21s or 20s or 19s alongside the full national team? So you train in the morning, or the full team trains in the morning. In the afternoon, Emma and Matt Crocker and other sporting staff are able to go watch you train in the afternoon, give you feedback, and maybe even pull you into practice the next morning. And so our ability to build a full program, not just individual teams, is something that's really important. Julie and Brandy and so many could talk about the culture of the women's national team. It's an incredible culture. They are the most competitive group of people I've ever been around. Our board chair, Cindy Parlow-Cohn, our president, is the most competitive person that I've been around, and they expect great. And what Michele's donation and what so many of you in this room, we have great partners. Obviously, the team at U.S. Soccer are focused on how do we go live up to that. And so it's really quite cool, and we're obviously excited about more to come.
And to your credit, and Matt Crocker as well, when Emma was hired and when Mauricio was hired, which is obviously you're behind that, Matt Crocker's behind that, it struck all of us how much they cared, not just about the senior national team. We heard it from both of them, how important and how hands-on they wanted to be in developing, when we again use that word ecosystem. They truly cared about what was happening at the levels that they weren't necessarily touching at that exact point, but knew that would someday affect them. And I did ask Emma recently, I said, when you're calling in essentially two teams together, which is how she's training, I said, how do you make the folks that aren't with the senior national team don't feel like they've sort of been relegated to a minor leagues, or they're over on this field, and how do you do that where you got everyone, in the right mindset? And she's like, here's how, because I am going to be over there with those U23s. Like,
opening a year from now, our new Arthur M. Blank U.S. Soccer. Not talking about on Schmidt and all people.
just here's how we're used to dealing with her, and we sit down with her in production meetings before every game. Like USL team on a slip. We're talking so much about U.S. soccer, right? And we know that you own not only an NWSL team, but you own other teams. What's most interesting to you right now in the women's game on a global scale? Because you obviously think bigger and you see that picture as well.
Yeah, so I think there is definitely, this is a movement. I don't think this is just a one-time blip. I think there is definitely a movement. I think there are different kind of models in terms of competitive format, how they have kind of come to exist, a different history, different path, and so forth. But I think where we're headed, I think, is relatively kind of a shared vision. I do think that one of the biggest problems is for women's football to follow what men's football industry has gone through. If you look at just England, the Premier League, even though they've been in existence for like over 100 years, but the current form of Premier League has been since the early 90s. So still, that's almost 4 decades. And there is really no reason, and in fact, we should not copy what they have done. We should have our own way of developing our games in terms of competitive format, in terms of how we evolve. So there are actually, quite frankly, in Europe, there are a lot of active conversations going on about what the future of women's football should look like. And actually, there is a consensus, in my opinion. Even the men's team's owners, they all believe that the women's football should not follow men's football, what men's football has gone through. So there's
She's saying it here. The women's game cannot follow in the same pathway the men's game has, because it's not the same game, even though they play the same game. The way you present women's football and how they operate, the things that y'all do for women's football is not going to be the same for men. And Michele Kang is letting us know they already, that's what they talk about. We're not. So that's great. I'm happy about that, because also this will in a way allow the women's game to not be attached to the men's game as much, be either a crutch or a liability, as they want to say, or y'all not making me no money type shit, So I do like that, because we're gonna get to see something different. We're not gonna see the same thing, and for me, different is awesome. Doing something a little different. It's not the same. It's not everyone's, that's the same as the men. That's the same as the men. It's different. And I think that's great. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. And I like that this is something that they talk about. This is something, like I said, this is what I heard on Saturday. Michele Kang. All right, keep going.
some very active and constructive conversations going on about where we go from here. And that includes competitive format, that includes, how we incentivize the youth club, all those things. So it's lots of conversations, more to come, but it is a very constructive and healthy dialogue going on.
JT, how much does that impact what you do? Because you're here focused on U.S. soccer, right? But these conversations are going on, and clearly you take in all of this stuff. How much of that filters to you?
Well, one, I want to follow on the sort of comment around women's soccer should not follow on what men's soccer is doing. I think that's so important, and that's on the field and off the field, how we think about the commercial models, how we think about investment structures, how we think about literally everything. Look, you can learn. You want to learn from every environment possible. And it's similar to where, in America, we shouldn't copy and paste what happens in Europe. That you can learn what's happening in other countries, for sure. But our model in the U.S., we have all sorts of unique things in America that are incredible strengths. Obviously, Billie Jean King talked about Title IX is an incredible strength of America. The university system here, there are all sorts of things that are unique to the U.S. that we have to ensure are assets, and we're not just copying and pasting. But I think we don't talk enough about the sort of need to make sure that women's soccer has a strategy for women's soccer. Obviously, Emma will talk about that later today. It's something that we very much believe at U.S. Soccer. There's lots that our men's team can learn from our women's team, vice versa. And I think that's also a part of the culture of having a new home, of having everyone in the same place where we can learn from each other. But ultimately, different teams, different environments, different strategies, and we need to make sure that we embrace that. In terms of what's going on in the global game, of course, I mean, one of the things that makes working in soccer so much fun, but also so much work, is it's a global market. It is an incredibly efficient global market. Any of your players, any of your coaches can go work anywhere in the world. And so if you don't have the best environment, they're bouncing. If you don't have great coaching, they're bouncing. If you don't pay them, they're bouncing. And as they should. And so what that means, and also as you think about a national team, if you're not constantly pushing, and Emma's got a great line, if it's not broke, break it. And one of our other national team coaches says their motto is adapt and adapt. Because as soon as you get comfortable, you got to adapt again. Because there's always someone somewhere else around the world who's going to innovate just a little more, push a little harder, get up earlier, stay up later, whatever it is. And so what makes working in soccer so exhilarating is it's so global, which is new for a lot of American owners. And I'm sure Michele can attest to this and her experiences. We, of course, see this on the men's and women's side where you have to embrace the fact that this is a global game. Which is what makes it so awesome, but it also makes for some gray hairs.
What is next? And JT, I'm going to start with you on this one. What is next and upcoming for U.S. Soccer?
Well, yesterday, I think there was some news that came out that the U.S. and some to-be-announced co-hosts will be the sole bidders for the 2031 Women's World Cup, which is incredibly exciting. So we'd asked Michele and some other folks to be on the bid committee for that,
we did a great job, right? We got the yeah.
And so, but I think what it speaks to one, FIFA president talked about how they want that to be the first Women's World Cup with 48 teams, which we've been huge public advocates for. We think it would be incredible for the growth of the game around the world, and what better country to host that in here in the U.S. And also. What we're really excited about is showing the world, of course, the beautiful soccer that will happen on the field, but the incredible commercial enterprise that this will be. This will be the largest women's sporting event ever in history. The scale of it will be incredible. It will be transformative, not just for our sport, but for how people think about women's sports and the commercial nature of it. And so the run-up to that is going to be awesome. Just like we used 2026 as a catalyst to get people to do big things to transform what soccer looks like in this country. We launched the Soccer Forward Foundation, which is all around how do we help get soccer everywhere? How do we help soccer be a catalyst for positive health outcomes, medical research, and how do we help elevate the women's game globally? And so if you think about 2031 and the opportunity for the legacy for that, we're really pumped.
What's next for you, Michele?
Well, I think we're continuing this path. I think that we've got a lot going on every front in terms of all the initiatives that he was talking about. But I think it's taking all of these things to the next level. And I think that there's probably a lot of collaboration that we can do on a global basis, especially Europe and South America, Latin America, and all those type of things. But also, intensify what we've been doing, especially he was talking about Soccer Forward Foundation. I think there are some important initiatives that require some scale and some attention, especially on the women's side. So we want to focus on those type of areas as well.
Do you guys have anything else you wanted to announce today?
I think you can do it.
Is that a leading question, everyone? I mean, I was just kind of see if we were going to, before we wrap this up, I feel like there might be something that we want to announce today.
Okay, I'll go first. So I think hopefully many of you know by now that Kaniska, by multi-club, we created something called Kaniska Innovation Hub. We actually announced that during the Olympic Games last July in Paris. The purpose of that innovation hub was really to help advance the research, medical and scientific research on women's health, especially on women, the athlete performances and so forth. So we're convening, we hired a lot of experts to start doing those type of research. And we've been well underway, but I've been having a lot of conversations with JT on what U.S. Soccer has been doing, also Soccer Forward Foundation. And it was kind of impressive, the alignment between what Kaniska Innovation Hub was trying to do and what Soccer Forward and U.S. Soccer were trying to do on this women's health and athlete performance and health equity, all those type of issues. And one of the things that I noticed when I started, the reason why I started also Innovation Hub was
But here is a clear example of you know, having two different platforms ultimately having similarities, and now they're being able to collaborate.
there are, quite frankly, a lot of organizations, a lot of individuals who are, you know, seeing the need and investing in it. But I felt that most of them are not necessarily because of their fault, but very subscale. And as I said early on, this is a very important topic that impacts everyone, half of this world's population. It needs scale, right? So not only the alignment, but it needs scale. And we decided that I will donate Kaniska Innovation Hub into the Soccer Forward Foundation with the amount that you can talk about the amount with the people. And the reason for that is because of the alignment, and because also, you know, if again, at scale, and the Soccer Forward Foundation can have those type of resources with some of the things that I'm going to come forward. But if you look at, you know, as we started working on it, we're about setting also standards, implementing all the new things about how to train female athletes differently. And that means that we have to develop all these protocols, standards, and so forth. So if we, Kaniska Innovation, calls some other teams or some other organization, hey, we're doing this, can you join these efforts? Can your players be part of this research project? And then once we develop the protocols, do you want to adopt this? Well, their question is going to be, who are you? Who's Kaniska Innovation Hub? Oh, that's great, just keep doing it, but we're not going to be part of it. But if U.S. Soccer and Soccer Forward Foundation, the organizations that have the charter to address this type of things and have the power of convening and power of the power and the ability to carry on this type of research and the implementation, right? Implementation, because our objective was not to create some PowerPoint presentation at the end of our process. We want this to be implemented, this one to be actually make a real difference. And we couldn't think of any better home for this efforts than U.S. Soccer, so that they can actually do this at scale and have the ability to get more organizations to be part of this research. And then once they are developed, then they can actually implement and make sure that all female soccer teams, not only just the US, but hopefully globally, will adopt this. And that's an acceleration, and that's an effort. So we decided that we meaning Kaniska Innovation Hub, will donate this entire Kaniska Innovation Hub into Soccer Forward Foundation so that they can carry on this very important task.
Yeah, so pretty much it makes they're using US Soccer because they have the ability to hit these areas based upon her money that she gave. And in a way, like I said, when she talks about the alignment, yeah, we got a new coach. You're already in a geographical location where the women are good, and they have a lot more opportunities than some other geographical locations. So donating Kaniska Hub to Soccer Foundation, a part of US, it's going to attract other federations. Be like, well, what is America doing over here with this Kaniska hub? Is this going to work for them? Okay, we want to adopt some of your principles and virtues because we want to develop our players too. We want to be your biggest oppositions. So it makes sense to me because no one else has created this, what she's created in other geographical locations, clearly, because their investment in women's football is not a priority. It's just not how their city, country got down or has been getting down. So in essence, how certain countries have run and operated, this is the reality that we live in. You have Michele Kang having to use America to help. Of course, America is going to help the world and women's football grow through the education development of players. In essence, that's what I'm getting from. So we can have a collective of ballers, and they all have proper foundations to be able to develop in wherever they are. Because I don't care where you're from. I want you to have the ability to play well, and then if you're not like where you need to be, you have the proper development accessible to you. The coaches know how to perform, the referees know how to perform, everyone, because it's a sport. We need everyone to be playing well. And of course, teams are not going to play the same. But when it comes to just the fundamentals of the game, everyone should know how to play football. The fundamentals of the game. This is in essence the health of the game, how they want to train. It's deeper than that. But for me, based upon for me as the observer, as a fan, I need to make sure these players can play football. And so, yeah, I hearing this again, understanding what they're talking about again, we're going to see how this pays off for us as a collective. Because we want it to work. We want global football to be competitive. I don't give a fuck what game I turn on. I don't even listen to it because I don't listen to commentators. I don't even need to listen to it. But when you turn on the TV channel and it's just a football match, you want to see that both teams are competitive and that they're giving a good fight. That they're both it's going to be good. So this is and America is the only place that could get this job done, as she says, at scale. And also remember, they say, football, we all know football is the world's game. So the fact that the other half, like AKA the women's investment, hasn't been just as much as the men's investment, it has, of course, has hindered the women's game, but also in essence hindered the men's game, because the men have not learned what maybe the women have put into the establishment to help their game grow, as they could piggyback off some of the things that the women have done. But like I said, based upon the society, the matrix, all that shit, this was not in reality. This has not manifested yet. But now we're in a new time period where the investment in women's football is going to get just as big as the investment in men's football, and it's going to have a global, effect on us as a collective, especially us as fans.
JT, let me just say, I know what you're about to say, and all I'm thinking is
As Michele shared, when we were, sort of outlining our vision for sort of some next phases of U.S. soccer, and a lot of that vision came from Emma and came from thinking about what's the sort of, obviously, and as you guys know, Emma finished at Chelsea, then right away had the Olympics coming. And so, one of the things, and as someone who works in business, sometimes one of your biggest superpowers is focus. And what Emma and our staff did so well is being so maniacally focused during the Olympics, and all other things were, we can deal with that, afterwards. Let's focus. But one of the things was around making sure that U.S. soccer was in a position where we were both from a research standpoint, but then practically implementing what is best through a female lens in all aspects of the sport. And as we were chatting about that, we both got excited about, again, being able to scale impact and accelerate that impact. And In addition to the team and the work that has been done thus far, Michele is donating $25 million to the Soccer Forward Foundation. And I think the real goal for this is to use this as sort of a clarion call for others to come forward, whether directly or indirectly, to align around this impact. We very much designed the Soccer Forward Foundation to play the role as an ecosystem catalyst. And what we mean by that is we want to use the convening power of U.S. soccer to get people like this together to talk about big projects, to align on the priorities, and to use the various resources that we have, whether...
In essence, teamwork makes the dream work. Using U.S. soccer as the lighthouse to attract other people with similar visions for a bigger goal. And this is how the world works. A small collective, a group of people come together to make something even bigger. And us, just we're the same thing too. We're currency. People all coming together, putting our gifts and talents together to make maybe a movie, whatever. But in essence, this is what they're doing. And this is going to help the global game, because this is their vision. This is the vision. The vision is to help everyone with this initiative, with this movement. It's going to help everyone. It's going to touch everyone. So this will have an impact on the whole realm of football. This is what they're pretty much saying. So, I mean, I'm not here because I want women's football to thrive. So I'm not against anything that's going to prevent women's football from taking off. And like I said, it ain't never been tried before. Ain't nobody donated $55 million to U.S. soccer ever before. Not that I'm aware of. But here we are.
Direct or indirect, to drive big impact. And we are very, very confident that we're going to be able to deliver on that through this.
So, I mean, specifically, the things that we have to do to make this real is that we have to get a lot of players be part of this research, right? So we need data because there isn't enough data. So we need to get a lot of players, both professional and amateur. Actually, we're going to get some amateur players as well. So we need to get many, many, many players be part of this research. So we need to convene those players.
This is why they have to get archetypes like Aslani over there for Sweden and London City Lionesses, some young talent in Tarsi for Brazil. Of course, we know Michele Kang went and got Rebecca Burnell from Mexico. So these are some player profiles, archetypes that they're talking about. She's centralized these three people. We got a French, we got a Mexican, we got a Brazilian, we got a Mexican, a Swedish, and they're gonna help. Teamwork make the dream work. So this makes sense. And I was like, well, why didn't no one else bid for Rebecca Burnell? But if you're Rebecca, you're like, man, so this is what y'all got going on? I think I want to be a part of that shit. I want to be a part of this movement. You know what I mean? So I can understand why. If this is the things that Michele Kang's spitting game on, this is an incentive to come play for my teams. In essence, I mean, like I said, after this shit is developed, whatever they're doing, we'll see the full picture of it. Ultimately, the full manifestation of it is where we have globally competitive football matches, where when we turn on the TV and we have our World Cup of 48 teams, everyone is competitive. We have no idea anybody out of the 48 can win. That is, in essence, the big picture, right? Everyone competitive. We know teams are going to suck. It is what it is. That's sport. But for the most part, everyone be competitive. Just about. And then, like I said, exposed.
Get them excited and get them be part of this, whether it's the the US teams or European teams, NCAA, there are all these players across the spectrum that we need them to be part of, young, old, all age group, all different categories. So that's the scale that we need. That's much better be done at the US soccer level than individual private foundation level. And then from there, we're going to figure out, and there's going to be a lot of medical research from a lot of universities that we've already started, North Carolina, Johns Hopkins, all those universities, and actually the University College in London and Australia. So we need all this, the network of academicians and the practitioners, and we already have started building that network. Again, US Soccer's involvement, we can increase that network in a much faster way, in a much bigger way. And then ultimate goal is to figure out, sort of like if you're in the software industry, you probably know what CMMI is. It's a maturity level in developing software. So we're going to establish sort of the maturity level of how each team is training female athletes. And we're going to give all the tools and the standards, communicate that standards. So we need to come up with that standards, and we need to get everyone to understand what those things are. And then we're going to help all those teams figure out how to implement so that every team knows, ultimately, every team knows how to train female athletes differently, appropriate for females. And I think that's what I'm very excited that because of the reach and the capabilities that US Soccer can bring. So all of you, when this thing is all done, I want many of you to be part of the survey as well and spread the word.
Full disclosure, I know goes scene to scene in a ton of a team level, but for little girls everywhere, which is huge on top of everything. So we want to thank Michele and JT, and we could sit here and talk to you guys about so many things forever, but we have to keep this thing on track. We've got another panel coming up, so thank you so much to you guys, and we will bring out our next panel. Soccer is more than a sport. You mentioned this, JT. It is a force for good. The Soccer Forward Foundation, which JT was just talking about, soccer's 2026 FIFA World Cup Legacy Initiative exists to support the entire American soccer community. The Soccer Forward Foundation aims to make soccer accessible, inclusive to everyone, everywhere, because they believe that growing the game is going to lead to healthier, more connected communities for generations to come. So we'll let you guys get out, give them another round of applause. Thank you so much. You are incredible. Yes, you're so incredible. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We have, I believe,
well, y'all heard it there. We gonna have to, I'm gonna keep reviewing it a little bit, you know what I'm saying, later, maybe another live. But yeah, this is some of the visions and some of the imagery, some of the ideas, and some of the actual money-making moves that they're doing to be able to grow the game that we love, right? And some of the people that are the faces of these things that are being presented to us. So we need to be able to identify what they're talking about, how they're talking about it, who's being involved, and understand what role you play. I know I'm going to continue to talk about the game that I enjoy, how I feel, and I hopefully going to be talking about, damn, Michele Kang's vision worked out. She came through, and as you see, the investment, USA Soccer has the right connections to be able to help scale the game. Like she was saying, it's like more than how many people watch football? The investment has to be real when it comes to growing the game. Like, you can't just a little invest in the women's game. It literally has to be a lot more. So I think that's really cool. And like I said, Michele Kang's an outsider, right? She ain't I ain't never played football in my life. I'm not a football. I ain't never kicked no football, score no goals. But I've been in sports, but football wasn't my sport. And I just happened to, watch the game, watch the men's game, fell in love with the game, and I ended up tuning into, mainly USA Women was the only team I had access to when I was a younger person. And so now, fast forward, we got access to damn near everybody. And it's going to be even more. We're going to have access. Like, we just got Mexico. We just got more access to the Mexico League. So, you know, everyone is making the step to all work together to have the women's game, you know, grow. Because they know, like he was saying, like, football has the ability to help communities, because a lot of people can play this game 11v11. A lot of opportunities can get created. A lot of money can be made through these players based upon how they play, or just in general them using the game of football to go on to do something greater. So the power of sport, the power of you know, collaboration and cooperation, and, you know, a mindset, same vision, you know, it's going to help our game. So we all got roles to play. Make sure you understand your role and do your best to, you know, put good currency out there when it comes to the game. It's going to grow. It's going to get bigger. It's going to get better because we're seeing what type of moves that these people are making to help this game grow. In 2031, we're going to have a World Cup in America of 48 teams and other countries here. It's going to be crazy. We ain't there yet. We're in 2025. Hopefully you make it there, because I don't know. I'm not saying you're going to die, but look, that's a long time. That's a long time. A lot of shit can happen between these 6 years. I'm just saying. Remember that. Anyways, y'all, USA did win against Brazil. We recapped it earlier. We were live streamed earlier. It is what it is. But listening to, you know, this She Believes Summit, you know, it's just it's nice to see where the game can potentially go, or where the game is going to grow. I may not be able to see it like when I'm 80, we have all the teams are competitive. Not yet. When I'm, you know, but that is the vision, and that is the end goal. A lot of, and to create they said to create a system of how to train women athletes. And create a foundation, a starting point, because there's no starting point. And also to teach teams in teach players in all different ways, because not everyone learns the same. Not everyone learns the same, and not everyone learns just as quick. So having the correct, protocols to be able to distinguish what players need is very valuable when it comes to the sport. I'm very grateful, you know what I'm saying? I'm very grateful to find football. You know, just like a lot of people in the world, football is the world's game, and I just happen to be one of those people that is tuned in as well. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in to Anita's Joint. Hashtag Extendajoint, where every day is payday, baby. It's your girl Anita flying high, flying out of this third dimensional reality.